She said, "Don't text me this weekend, okay?" "No, please." No explanation. Just a smirk and a duffel bag. The door shut behind her like punctuation, and I stood in the hallway holding a half-folded towel, wondering if I just got dismissed from my own marriage. I stared at that towel for a long time. Dumb, right? I couldn't remember why I was even holding it. Maybe I thought we were still doing laundry together. Maybe I thought we were still doing anything together. Let me back up. Not all the way, just enough. This wasn't our first space weekend. It started after she came back from a wellness retreat last fall, full of phrases like expanding boundaries and spiritual reconnection. That's when she started booking random solo getaways. "You get your quiet," she'd say. "I get my clarity." Except I wasn't getting quiet. I was getting panic attacks at 3 a.m. and checking her location like a lunatic, until she disabled that too. This particular weekend felt different. She was dressed up, not yoga pants and messy bun. No, she had her hair done. Nails too. She wore this amber perfume I hadn't smelled since the first year we dated. I asked, "Is this really just a solo thing again?" She gave me this look. Not guilty, not warm, just tired of me. "Curtis, stop. Don't ruin this." And then she left. Saturday evening, I sat on the couch watching the rain thud against the window. My phone buzzed. It wasn't her. It was a notification from our shared photo storage app. I opened it absent-mindedly. Apparently, she forgot the sync was still enabled. And that's when everything cracked. A photo popped up. She was in a cabin, cozy, laughing, her hand holding a wine glass, and a man's hand, not mine, resting on her knee. Another photo, blurry, but clear enough. She was sitting in his lap. I dropped the phone. 10 minutes later, it buzzed again. A short message from her. "Don't go through my stuff. Let me have this." That's when it hit me. She wasn't asking for space. She was asking for silence. She expected me to stay frozen, like a backup file she could reload on Monday morning. So I stood up. I walked to the closet. I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in 3 years. And I made a decision. If she could vanish for the weekend and come back like nothing happened, then maybe I could vanish too. For good. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. Not at first. I just turned off the living room light, sat in the dark, and listened to the sound of the rain hitting the windows like soft knocks from a world I no longer wanted to be part of. I kept replaying her message in my head. "Don't go through my stuff. Let me have this. Let me have this." Like our marriage was a pie she could carve slices out of and I was supposed to just watch, hungry and quiet, while she fed someone else. I remember laughing. Not out of humor. That dry, broken laugh that sounds more like choking. At exactly 11:42 p.m. I started packing. Not dramatically. Not in a panic. Slowly. Quietly. I pulled out the old Navy duffel from under the bed. The same one I used when we visited her parents in Oregon 3 years ago. The last trip where she still held my hand in public. I grabbed only what I needed. A few shirts, underwear, chargers, the birth certificate folder, my passport. I left the wedding photo on the dresser. I wanted her to see it. I moved carefully, like I was trying not to wake up something dangerous. Because a part of me was dangerous. A quiet rage was building under my skin, and if I let it loose, I knew I'd become someone I didn't want to meet in the mirror. But I didn't just leave that night. No. I wasn't going to just disappear and let her cry her fake tears and post some sob story online about her emotionally unavailable husband. I needed her to understand what she'd done, truly understand. That meant being methodical. I walked to my desk and logged into our joint banking app. While she was sipping red wine with her secret +1 in some overpriced mountain cabin, I was emptying the joint savings. My direct deposit built most of it anyway. I left her $86.42. I didn't even mean to pick a number that specific. That's just what was left after I wired the rest to my private account. I forwarded a copy of our prenup to myself. I already knew what it said. I remembered every line from the night she insisted we sign it. "Just something smart people do," she said back then. "It's not about us." Right. Until it was about us. Especially the part that covered infidelity. Oh, and the Tesla? In my name. Paid off. She always said she loved driving it more than she loved her morning coffee. That's why I scheduled a remote software lock for Sunday night, 5 minutes before she was supposed to head back. She'd open the app. She'd see the car. But she wouldn't be able to drive it. Just sit in it. Stuck. I booked a cheap Airbnb 2 towns over. Just for a few days. Enough time to disappear without going full fugitive. I left at 2:17 a.m. No goodbye note. No dramatic message. Nothing for her to twist into a sob story later. She wanted space. I gave her a galaxy. The last thing I saw before shutting the door was her favorite mug, white with gold lettering that read, "Good vibes only." I turned it upside down in the sink, like a silent response. By the time she returned Sunday night, mascara smudged and fake exhaustion in her eyes, she'd find an empty closet, drained accounts, and a husband who wasn't waiting anymore. She had her weekend. So did I. The first text came in at 6:03 p.m. Sunday night. "Hey babe, just hit the highway. Be home soon. Can't wait to crash with you, sleeping face, red heart." I was already checked into my rental by then, lying on a Saga mattress and watching a spider crawl along the ceiling. The room smelled like bleach and wood paneling. It was perfect. Forgotten. Quiet. At 6:19 p.m., another message. "Did you move the car? I can't unlock it with the app." I didn't answer. I just stared at the screen, not feeling anything. Not satisfaction. Not guilt. Not yet. By 6:34, she'd figured it out. "Curtis, what did you do to the Tesla? Why is it saying it's locked remotely?" Then, "Are you serious right now? Curtis. Curtis, answer me. WTF is this?" I turned my phone off for a while. Just let it sit face down. I made a cup of gas station coffee and ate a cold sandwich I bought out of a vending machine. It tasted like victory and regret. When I turned it back on an hour later, I had 17 missed calls. All from her. A few voicemails. I didn't listen. I just watched the messages come in like a slow unraveling. "You're being insane. I'm calling the police if you don't respond. Where is all the money? What did you do?" And then silence. 10 full minutes passed. And then the one that made me laugh, really laugh, loud, bitter, ugly. "I was going to tell you eventually. It wasn't serious. I needed to feel alive." There it was. The truth, finally served lukewarm and spineless. Not serious? Then why the romantic cabin getaway? Why the matching robes and wine tastings? Why the playlist she made that she also used for our honeymoon? I opened the shared photo folder again. She had deleted most of it already, but not all. One photo remained. Just one. It was blurry. Him kissing her cheek while she smiled. That same smile she gave me when we signed the mortgage. The one I thought was mine. I saved the photo. Not for revenge. Not to show anyone. I just wanted to look at it and remember what she destroyed. So I'd never forget what loving her cost me. At 9:12 p.m., she stopped texting. But I knew she wasn't done. People like Mallory never stop when they lose control. They escalate. And I was right. Because at 10:01 p.m., my sister called me in a panic. "Curtis, what is going on? Mallory just showed up at Mom's house." I almost dropped my phone. She brought this to my mother's door? I don't know what she thought would happen. Maybe she assumed my mom would cry and beg me to take her back. Maybe she thought she could charm her way into sympathy. She always did love playing the wounded angel when things didn't go her way. But my mother is not someone you run to after betraying her son. Not unless you enjoy being verbally skinned alive. When I answered my sister's call, I could hear Mom yelling in the background. Not screaming, cutting. Like a blade. It's the same tone she used when I was 12 and tried to lie about breaking a neighbor's window. Only this time, it was Mallory on the receiving end. "She just showed up here," my sister said, "with some made-up story about a misunderstanding and how you were mentally unwell and she was scared for you." Of course, that was her move. Flip the narrative. Make me the unstable one so she could play the heartbroken, concerned wife. I could practically see her pacing around my mother's living room, rubbing fake tears into her eyes like a stage actress trying to get one more Oscar. "She said she thinks you're having some kind of breakdown," my sister continued. "That you emptied the accounts and ran off. But she wouldn't say why." My mom, God bless her, didn't buy a second of it. She looked her dead in the eye and said, "Mallory, you packed a bag. You disappeared for a weekend with another man. And now you're surprised my son didn't wait for you with flowers." Apparently, Mallory didn't even flinch. She doubled down. "She swore nothing happened," my sister said. "She said she just needed time to herself, and that maybe she made some bad choices, but she still loves you." That was rich. And then she made her fatal move. She tried to show my mom a picture. A single photo of us from last Christmas, standing in front of the tree. Trying to rewind time with an image she probably hadn't even looked at until now. And that's when Mom told her to get out. Not asked. Told. "She said you were done," my sister said. She said if you wanted her help, you should have come clean instead of showing up with lies and perfume that wasn't yours. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the weak one. I didn't feel like the doormat husband everyone pitied. I felt like someone reclaiming himself. Quietly. Permanently. Then my sister paused. "There's one more thing," she said. I braced myself. She said she's pregnant. That's when my heart sank back into that familiar pit. Because Mallory and I had been trying for a year. Tests. Calendars. Disappointment. And now, suddenly, after a solo weekend with some random man, she drops that bomb? I didn't say a word. I just stood up, walked to the bathroom mirror, and stared at myself. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat there in that cheap Airbnb with the lights off, staring at the little blue dot on the ceiling. One of those fake fire detectors that hum quietly, like they're judging you. I replayed my sister's voice over and over in my head. She said she's pregnant. And just like that, everything sharpened. My emotions went from heartbreak to calculation. Because here's the thing. If what she said was true, then I needed to know one very simple fact. Whose child was it? I didn't want to call. I didn't want to hear her voice, not after everything she'd already done. But texting wouldn't cut it. I needed to hear the pause, the stumble, the crack in her throat. So I called. She picked up on the second ring. "Curtis," she exhaled, like she'd just been rescued from a burning building. "Oh my God, I've been trying to reach you." I cut her off. I didn't say hello. I didn't ask how she was. I just said 6 words. "Are you sure it's mine, Mallory?" The line went dead silent. I could hear her breathing. Shaky. Uneven. A sound I hadn't heard from her in years. The sound of her losing control. Then she said the worst possible thing she could have said. "Does it matter? We're married." That sentence, it didn't just break me. It detonated something. The way she said it. Like it was my duty to accept whatever mess she dragged home. Like marriage meant I had to wear blinders while she experimented with her freedom. I laughed. I really laughed. And it scared her. I could hear it. "That's not a denial," I said. "That's a distraction. So I'll ask again. Is it mine?" She didn't answer. Instead, she went on this frantic spiral, saying things like, "I wasn't thinking clearly, and it only happened once, and I was feeling disconnected, and he listened to me." The usual playlist of excuses wrapped in fake vulnerability. Finally, I got what I wanted. 3 words, whispered like a confession in a courtroom. "I don't know." And there it was. The end of the illusion. The final nail in a coffin she built with her own hands. I told her she'd be hearing from my lawyer. That I wanted a paternity test, and if it wasn't mine, I was done. Legally, financially, emotionally, everything. She started crying. Not sobbing, weaponized crying. The kind meant to drag me back in. But I was already gone. And that's when she flipped. "Are you seriously going to walk away from a child over one mistake? From me? After everything we've built?" I told her the truth. Not the kind you scream, but the kind that stings because it's quiet and final. We didn't build anything. I built. You burned. I hung up. Blocked her. Sat in silence for what felt like hours. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was war. It didn't take much digging to find him. Mallory had been sloppy. Too used to me not asking questions. Too confident I'd stay silent no matter what. Her phone had synced old calendar events to our shared cloud account, and one of them was labeled Taos Yoga, Private Class, J. I cross-referenced it with the Airbnb listing I'd already screenshotted before she deleted it. The host's profile photo? A man named Jesse Delmar. Early 40s, divorced, tanned, long hair pulled into a ponytail like he was stuck in 2012. His bio bragged about holding space for women seeking transformation. I nearly threw my phone across the room. I didn't rage. I got in the car. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't even going to threaten him. I just wanted to look at the guy. I wanted to see what kind of man thinks it's okay to sleep with another man's wife and smile about it over wine. Taos was 4 hours away, but I drove like I was chasing oxygen. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. The cabin was exactly what I expected. Rustic, expensive, and deeply pretentious. Wind chimes. Mandala flags. A chalkboard on the porch said, "Energy is everything. Enter with love." I knocked. He opened the door barefoot, wearing a loose white linen shirt, like a spiritual Instagram model. And the moment his eyes met mine, I knew. He recognized me. His face didn't just drop, it froze. He didn't say a word. He just stepped back and opened the door wider, like he already knew why I was there. I didn't move. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. "So," I said finally, "you're Jesse." He nodded. "Curtis, right?" He knew my name. That hit harder than I expected. That meant he knew about me the whole time. He knew he was with another man's wife. He wasn't some innocent yogi who got manipulated. He was a willing co-star in her betrayal. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "I just want the truth. All of it. You slept with my wife. She says she's pregnant. And she says she doesn't know if it's mine." His face tightened. He stepped outside and closed the door behind him. For a few seconds, he just stared out into the trees like he was considering how much damage honesty would do. Then he said something I didn't expect. "I told her not to lie to you. I told her this would blow up." "She said it wasn't serious," I replied. "She lied to you," he said. "It was more than serious. She told me she was leaving you. She said you were just a placeholder." I felt something crack inside me, but I didn't show it. "Not to him." "And the baby?" I asked. He swallowed hard. "She said it was probably mine. I told her to tell you. But I guess she thought she could keep both of us." That was all I needed to hear. I didn't punch him. I didn't scream. I just nodded once and turned around. But before I reached the car, he called out behind me. "Curtis, if it matters, I didn't think you were real. She talked about you like you were already gone." I didn't look back. I just got in the car and drove. She wanted to rewrite our story. So I decided I'd write the ending myself. The paternity test came in a plain white envelope, like it was just another piece of junk mail. I stared at it on the table for over an hour, sipping cold coffee and trying to decide whether I actually wanted to open it. Part of me hoped it was mine, because at least then there would be something salvageable, some piece of humanity left between us. But a darker part of me, the part that had been sitting in silence since the day she packed her bag, that part wanted confirmation. Proof that what I suspected wasn't just paranoia. Proof that I hadn't been the crazy one. When I finally opened it, I didn't feel a rush. No cinematic gasp. Just stillness. The kind of quiet you only hear when something inside you dies completely. 0% probability of paternity. The child was not mine. I let out a single breath, folded the results back into the envelope, and stared out the window. I wasn't surprised. But it still felt like someone had carved the truth into my chest with a blunt knife. Mallory had lied, manipulated, and strung me along until the bitter end, and then had the audacity to stand on the ashes and demand forgiveness. But I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg for closure. I had something else planned. I took the results, scanned them, and sent them to her via email. No subject line. No message in the body. Just the PDF, clear and clinical. But I attached one more thing, a photo. It was a picture of her favorite necklace, an antique gold chain I'd bought for her birthday 2 years ago. In the photo, it was resting on top of our wedding vows. Both items were shredded. Carefully. Intentionally. Spread out across the kitchen counter of our old apartment. She'd know the counter. She'd know I'd gone back. I included one sentence at the bottom of the email. "You wanted a new life. Now you have one. All yours." Less than 10 minutes later, my phone lit up with a call. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. "Curtis, please. You don't understand what I was going through. It was a mistake. I was scared. You pushed me away. This doesn't have to be the end." But it was the end. She just didn't get to choose how it ended. So I sent one final reply. "No custody battle. No money. No contact. You're free. For real this time." And I meant every word. I had spoken to my lawyer the day before. We'd already filed for divorce, citing infidelity. The prenup kicked in automatically. She'd get nothing. No alimony. No car. No access to my accounts. No place in my future. She wanted a new experience? Well, welcome to it. The next time she opened her banking app, she'd see her name removed from every joint asset. Her name would no longer be on the lease. Her storage key no longer worked. And her access to the cloud, the car, and everything else we once shared? Gone. I had erased her so cleanly from my life. It was like we'd never met. But she would remember me. Every time she looked at that child. Every time she saw the man she chose over me. Every time she tried to explain to someone how she lost everything in one weekend. She thought I'd wait. She thought I'd forgive. She thought wrong. It was exactly 12 days after I sent her the test results and the photo when she showed up at my new place. I had just gotten home from the gym. Yeah, I know, me at the gym. and there she was, sitting on the front steps like some ghost from a life I'd already buried. Her hair was messier than I'd ever seen it, eyes puffy, and she was holding something in her hands. A small box. "Curtis," she said, standing up like we were still on speaking terms. "Please, just talk to me." I didn't say anything. I didn't yell. I just leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, waiting to hear whatever performance she'd rehearsed in the mirror that morning. She handed me the box. I didn't take it. "I don't want anything from you," I said calmly. "It's just our photos," she mumbled. I thought maybe someday. Someday. I cut her off. "Mallory, someday I might laugh about all this. Someday I might forget how hollow I felt every time you left the house with your phone on silent. But today, I'm finally free." She looked like she didn't know what to do with herself. For once, she wasn't in control. No leverage. No pity card left to play. She tried one more time. "I made a mistake. I got lost. You were my home, Curtis." And I finally smiled. "I know. And I left the door unlocked for years, hoping you'd come back. But you didn't. You left. Again and again. And now, I'm building a new home. One where I'm not the only one fighting to stay in it." She stood there for a long time. Then she nodded slowly, like she knew there was nothing left to say. She turned and walked away. And I didn't stop her. That night, I sat on the balcony of my tiny new apartment, sipping tea instead of whiskey. It was quiet, peaceful, the kind of silence I used to beg for. Only now, it didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. I'd signed up for forever with someone who only gave me weekends. But I survived it. I walked through the fire and came out lighter. A few weeks later, I adopted a dog. His name's Milo. He doesn't lie. He doesn't vanish. And every time I come home, he's at the door like I'm the best thing that's ever happened to him. Funny how life works. Sometimes, the person who breaks you ends up showing you how strong you really are.